On August 6th, French President Emmanuel Macron became the first Western head of state to tour the remains of Beirut. A large part of the city had been leveled after 2,750 tons of sodium nitrate exploded. Angry protesters welcomed Macron as a savior to end their misery. 55,000 Lebanese signed a petition for France to take control. But can France really be a solution to Lebanon's woes? I'm Ali Mustafa, and this is France in Lebanon, Decoded. In November 2017, Lebanon's Prime Minister Saad Hariri resigned in a televised statement from Saudi Arabia. He cited Iran and Hezbollah's political influence amid fears of assassination. There were serious concerns over Hariri's safety, but to his benefit, French President Emmanuel Macron intervened, allowing Hariri to leave Saudi Arabia for Paris, where he took back his resignation. The episode highlighted Lebanon's strange politics and the role of its former colonial master, France. France was handed a mandate to administer Greater Lebanon at the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. It was a result of years of French intrigue to carve up Arab lands through secretive deals, such as the Sykes-Picot Agreement. From early on, France empowered Lebanon's Christian Maronites, securing their place through something known as the confessionalist system. Now, unofficial figures put Shia and Sunni Lebanese in the majority, but seats in parliament are distributed evenly between Christians and Muslims. Critics argue the system is inherently biased and has already provoked a civil war and countless political crises. Political deconfessionalization was a national objective for Lebanon as part of the Taif Agreement that ended the civil war. But it never happened, just like the census has never happened. There's another way to find out Lebanon's demographic changes by looking at elections data. It shows waning support for Maronite Christians and rising numbers for Shia Hezbollah and Sunni groups. One way the French influenced politics in Lebanon was by arming Maronite militias who started the civil war in the 1970s. As the balance of power shifted, France turned to Hafez al-Assad of Syria to attack the Palestinian leftist alliance taking shape in Lebanon and restore balance in favor of Maronite forces. It provoked a retaliation in the form of two massive suicide attacks in 1983, forcing France and the United States to withdraw from Lebanon the following year. Despite this, France has been able to keep proxies at play through military leaders like Michel Aoun, now Lebanon's president. Aoun returned to Beirut in 2005 after Syrian troops were forced to withdraw following Rafiq Hariri's assassination. France has also excelled at tilting the economic equation in its favor. French exports to Lebanon in 2018 totaled almost $900 million, whereas imports from Lebanon stood at a meager $63 million, giving France a trade surplus of over $800 million. The money then made its way out of Lebanon, funneled back to France through numerous Lebanese banks. France has also encouraged aid dependency by hosting successive donor conferences. Tens of billions of dollars were promised, but the money never made it because it was tied to reforms. Donor countries were also unwilling to deal with Hezbollah, an Iran-backed political group that is designated a terrorist organization by Western powers, making it harder to receive funding. The system put in place by France at the time of Lebanon's independence is no longer viable in 2020. The need for reforms doesn't only stem from a corrupted politics within Lebanon, but also the way its Western saviors, like France, have behaved. Paris has tried to maintain the status quo by controlling Lebanon's politics, and the money flows to it. And now President Emmanuel Macron says he wants to fix things. And that's France and Lebanon Decoded. If you've got any comments or suggestions, send them through on Twitter at Ali_Mustafa.